The epic story of Daniel, a man of unshakable faith in the ancient days. When mighty empires ruled the earth, there arose a man of unwavering faith, Daniel, a young noble from Jerusalem. Torn from his homeland by the brutal conquest of King Nebuchadnezzar, he was dragged into the heart of the Babylonian Empire, a kingdom of golden idols and ruthless kings. But Daniel's story was not one of submission to earthly rulers. It was a tale of courage, wisdom, and the power of an unyielding faith in God. Captured but not conquered as Daniel and his friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, stood before the king's court. They were stripped of their Hebrew names and given Babylonian ones: Belteshazzar, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were offered the finest food from the king's table, delicacies meant to mold them into loyal servants of Babylon. But Daniel refused to defile himself. Instead, he and his friends chose a simple diet of vegetables and water, trusting in their God. 10 days later, they stood stronger, healthier, and wiser than all the other young men in the kingdom. Even in captivity, God honored their faith. The dream that shook an empire one night, Nebuchadnezzar was tormented by a dream, a vision so terrifying that it robbed him of sleep. He summoned his magicians and astrologers, demanding they not only interpret the dream but reveal what it was. When they failed, the king ordered their execution. But Daniel, filled with divine wisdom, stepped forward. He prayed, and God revealed the dream. A colossal statue with a head of gold, chest of silver, belly of bronze, legs of iron, and feet of iron and clay. A vision of rising and falling empires. At the statue's destruction by a mighty rock, Nebuchadnezzar fell to his knees, acknowledging the power of Daniel's God. The fiery furnace, a test of faith. But Babylon was not done testing the faith of God's people. The arrogant king erected a towering golden statue and commanded all to bow before it. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused. Their defiance enraged Nebuchadnezzar, who ordered them cast into a blazing furnace. The heat was so intense that even the guards who threw them in perished instantly. But inside the fire, the three men stood unharmed. A fourth figure, a divine presence, walked among them. When they emerged, their clothes did not even smell of smoke. Nebuchadnezzar trembled and declared, "No other God can save in this way." The madness of a king years passed, and Nebuchadnezzar's pride grew beyond measure. He stood on the roof of his palace, boasting, "Is this not the great Babylon I have built?" But at that moment, a voice from heaven thundered. His kingdom was stripped away. He was driven into the wilderness, living like an animal eating grass, his nails growing like claws. For 7 years, he wandered in madness, until he finally lifted his eyes to the heavens and acknowledged the sovereignty of God. His sanity was restored, and he was returned to his throne, now a humbled king. The handwriting on the wall years later, under King Belshazzar, Babylon's arrogance returned. During a grand feast, Belshazzar defiled the sacred vessels taken from God's temple in Jerusalem, toasting idols with them. In that moment, a mysterious hand appeared, writing on the wall, "Mean, mean, Tekel Parson." Fear gripped the king, and none could decipher the message, none but Daniel. He stood before the trembling monarch and declared the prophecy. The kingdom of Babylon had been weighed, found wanting, and would fall that very night. As the sun rose, the Persians stormed the gates, and Babylon was no more. The lion's den, unshakable faith under the new Persian rule of King Darius. Daniel's wisdom set him above all others, earning him great favor. But jealous men schemed against him, tricking the king into signing a decree forbidding prayer to any god except Darius. Daniel, unwavering, continued his daily prayers to the God of Israel. For this, he was thrown into a den of ravenous lions. The stone was sealed, and the night was long. But in the morning, Darius rushed to the den and called out. To his astonishment, Daniel was alive. God had shut the mouths of the lions. The wicked conspirators were cast into the den, and they met the fate they had planned for Daniel. Darius then issued a decree declaring that the God of Daniel was the true and living God. Visions of the future in his later years, Daniel was given visions of things to come. Mighty kingdoms rising and falling, wars and rulers yet to be born, and the coming of a great king, one like the Son of Man who would reign over an everlasting kingdom. His prophecies stretched far beyond his time, revealing the grand design of history under God's control. A legacy of unshakable faith. Daniel's story is not just one of survival. It is a testament to unshakable faith in the face of overwhelming odds. He stood before kings, faced death, and interpreted divine mysteries, not by his own power, but by the hand of God. His life echoes through history as a beacon of courage, wisdom, and trust in the Almighty. So, whenever the world demands that you bow, remember Daniel, the man who knelt only before his God and stood stronger than empires.